I understand free agency isn't nearly as exciting this year because, well, you don't have LeBron James and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and it's not last year's free agency, but hell, it's pretty exciting, even though the top free agent this year is no longer Andre Drummond anymore because he's re-signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Rather, it's Gordon Hayward, who may have made a decision as to where he's going to sign. By the time I've made this video, chances are I won't be able to make a video on it because, well, you know, I'm still sitting Shiva for my grandparents, so just go to my Twitter and I'm going to try to keep you guys updated there. I apologize. I would be 100% on top of this, guys, if it wasn't for some personal issues. So before we get to the video, man, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications for the YouTube algorithm. And we're also doing channel memberships now. If you want to further support the channel, you can find a link to that in the description down below. And make sure to check out our gaming content on TheFlightMike TV, which should be in the pinned comment section. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, there's been a lot of information coming out in regards to the Los Angeles Lakers that's kind of swept under the rug. So I'm going to try to catch you up on everything that has to do with the Los Angeles Lakers, be it a rumor or actual information leading up to their brand new signing of Wesley Matthews. You see, the very first piece of information that I know is the Los Angeles Lakers are in jeopardy of losing Avery Bradley possibly to the Golden State Warriors, but Avery Bradley has expressed interest in returning to the Lakers. He's just testing out the market for himself, seeing if his value has increased at all since the last time he hit free agency. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but when the Lakers brought along Avery Bradley, his value was at rock bottom. They kind of bought low on him, and he proved to be a very valuable member of the roster. So I wouldn't fault him for testing out free agency and seeing what teams would potentially be interested in him. And so far, I hear that the Golden State Warriors are interested in him. Now, the good news is that the Los Angeles Lakers are apparently getting first dibs on Avery Bradley, and all that he's valuing in this situation is he wants long-term stability. If you could call a 2-year contract long-term stability. Now, this is all, of course, according to Ramona Shelburne. But in addition to that, we got some news about DeMarcus Cousins because, well, I guess technically most recently, his most recent team is the Los Angeles Lakers. There are a lot of teams interested in bringing along DeMarcus Cousins onto their roster. Now, it's very unclear to see what DeMarcus Cousins is valuing at this time. Last year, he was in a remarkable position. By signing with the Los Angeles Lakers, he had the opportunity to reunite with two of his Pelicans teammates in Anthony Davis and Rajon Rondo. Now, of course, that wasn't meant to be because DeMarcus Cousins would tear his ACL before the season would start. The Lakers would sign Dwight Howard to replace him. And, well, pretty much what happened to DeMarcus Cousins is the inverse of what happened to Klay Thompson. He tore his Achilles, he got back from the Achilles injury, he got in good shape, and he tore his ACL. Whereas Klay Thompson tore his ACL, he got back, he recovered, and then he tore his Achilles. So, by the way, prayers to Klay Thompson, but I digress. But on top of that, Anthony Davis is on course to re-sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. This is, of course, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Now, the thing is, we don't know the exact way that Anthony Davis is going to return to the Lakers. Apparently, the Lakers have offered him multiple different ways to return, and he's choosing between one of them. It appears as though what's most likely is Anthony Davis is going to sign a 3-year, $106 million contract that would include a player option after the 2023 season. This aligns Anthony Davis with the end of LeBron James's deal, but that's not the only rumored deal that he's interested in. Anthony Davis could also do a 2-year, $68 million deal with an option after next year, or a longer deal for 4 years, which would be $146.7 million, and 5 years, which would be $189 million. Now, another member of Rich Paul's agency, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, who was rumored to be testing free agency, said that he's very interested in returning to the Los Angeles Lakers, but he wants significant money to do so. And if he doesn't get the significant money from the Lakers, he will find another team to pay him significant money to go there. So pretty much AD is going to stay no matter what. KCP just wants the bag. I don't know if the Lakers are going to offer him the bag because, of course, he was a remarkable player for us in the playoffs, but the Lakers don't typically go for overpaying role players, at least since the Rob Pelinka era. There's other options that they could pursue should KCP decide to go elsewhere, and I wouldn't really fault him for going elsewhere, man. He's still in the earlier parts of his career. He still won a championship, so he doesn't necessarily need to ring chase. He may want to go to a smaller market or a smaller team and make significant money to build up his estate, and I respect that. We also got word that Rondo is linked to multiple teams, from the Los Angeles Clippers to the Atlanta Hawks, any team but the Los Angeles Lakers, because, well, the Lakers recently just acquired Dennis Schroeder, so it appears as though the backup sixth-man point guard spot is now going to be overtaken, which makes a lot of sense. Rondo barely made any money when he was playing with the Lakers. He came to the Lakers, he won a championship, he accomplished his mission. I don't blame him for going elsewhere and seeking a larger deal. Now, on top of all of this, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Adrian Wojnarowski, coming out with some pretty fascinating news on Wesley Matthews. And I had a feeling this was going to happen the moment we found out that Dennis Schroeder was going to get traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. This rumor came out that the Lakers were interested in trading for Wesley Matthews. Well, apparently Wesley Matthews got word of that, because Wesley Matthews immediately, a day later, opted out of his deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I know what's going on here. And looks like I was right, because Wesley Matthews has officially agreed to a deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. This is according to Shams Charania, who tweeted out originally, free agent Wes Matthews plans to sign with the Lakers, sources tell at The Athletic NBA and at the stadium. A few minutes later, about 4 minutes later, Shams gave us an update saying Wes Matthews is signing a 1-year, $3.6 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers, sources tell The Athletic NBA and the stadium. This is a remarkable deal because, well, I hate to bag on Danny Green, but if you look at Wesley Matthews' statistics and you compare him to Danny Green, believe it or not, they're not that much different. So what the Lakers essentially did was they traded Danny Green's inflated expiring contract to the OKC Thunder, got Dennis Schroeder in return. Obviously, OKC flipped Danny Green over and traded him to the Philadelphia 76ers, a move which I said is absolutely remarkable, by the way. I think the Sixers are the clear winner of free agency thus far. But back to the Lakers. The Lakers then had a void that they needed to fill at the wing position. I don't know if it's necessarily the wing position because LeBron James technically plays the wing, but you know what I mean. LeBron James is technically the point guard of the Los Angeles Lakers. So they essentially just needed more shooting. They needed a 3-and-D type player. And if you look at Wesley Matthews' statistics, it's not far off from Danny Green. Last year, Danny Green was able to shoot 36.7% from 3, and he attempted about 4.8 3-pointers per game. Wesley Matthews, on the other hand, shot 36.4% from 3, and he attempted 4.4 3-pointers per game. So I gotta tip my hat off to Rob Pelinka, because essentially he shedded a bad contract and replaced that production with another player that could essentially bring the Lakers the exact same thing. But he's paying them literally a fourth of the price. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was bagging on Rob Pelinka towards the very beginning of his tenure with the Lakers. I was thinking, what the hell is this guy doing with the Lakers roster? But he's doing a remarkable job getting cheap role players to come alongside LeBron James and play with LeBron James, and he's doing a remarkable job managing our assets. As a Laker fan, I'm very pleased with the addition of Dennis Schroeder and Wesley Matthews, because they're getting the Lakers supporting cast appears to be even stronger this year. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this move, and also let me know what other players do you think the Lakers should pursue, or any other free agency moves that you're predicting happening in the future. Aside from that, I'm your boy TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping my mic until our next upload.